Hi, it's Anna here. Thanks for tuning in. Um, so far on this channel, I've discussed, the importance to strengthen and focus on developing and fostering a strong inner guidance system. And today, I actually want to take it a step further, where I want to explain that the whole point of this path, it's to come back to deeper, to connect deeper and deeper within ourselves and come back to a place of wholeness. But on a higher level, it's actually training ourselves to attune to like a higher reality, to attune to the higher energy and a higher timeline. I'm going to say it that way. So when you understand this, then you make everything on this path about that. And what I want to specifically discuss today is the fact that one of our focus should be to realize that it's not necessarily the words or the actions that matter. It's the energy and essence behind those, whether it's concerning ourselves or others, right? And so when you train yourself to do this, that's when you're tapping into feeling more subtle forms of energy, and essentially it makes you attain this superpower in a way where you become attuned to the unseen realm, because actually everything is energy, except that we can't see it, but we can feel it. And the more you train yourself, the more you build that muscle, the more you'll be able to do this naturally. So also, when I've talked before about discernment being very important, like an important muscle to develop on this path to make sure that you keep growing, that's what you're doing. You actually, the process of discerning is the process of attuning to this energy, the energy and essence behind the words that someone's using, right? So you will train yourself to come to a place where you're able to watch someone and they might be saying all the right words, actually, but there's an emptiness behind them. So you will be able to train yourself to come to a place where you don't even need to have proof of it, but you can see that they don't mean what they say. Does that make sense? And so when you understand that, you can observe what's happening in your life in a much more empowering way, because then you're not going to be easily manipulated, and you're going to be able to tap into the truth of things a lot easier. So you're going to be able to tap into the intentions behind the words that someone's using. And to give an example, like, I'm a mother, I can tell when my kids are lying to me. I can feel it. They might be saying all the right things and try to convince me, but I can tell. I don't need proof of it. Or someone in your life might be trying to manipulate you, and because I tend to attract people who have had a very similar path as me, and have gone through this ascension path through narcissism. So to give that example, you're going to be able to actually tell when someone's trying to manipulate you. And those of us who have gone through this path of ascension through narcissism, we actually are presented with more and more and more subtle forms of manipulation. It's definitely been the case for me. So when it comes to like the very extremely covert ways, that's when the person might actually be saying all the right things. They might be saying exactly what you want to hear, but you can feel the energy behind the words. And so that becomes your superpower. I like to call this seeing in the dark. Seeing in the dark becomes your superpower. You become unstoppable because nobody can actually manipulate you anymore. You can see right through it. It's like in the movie They Live. I don't know if you're familiar with that movie, but it's like putting those sunglasses that actually make you see the truth of everything, make you see things and people exactly as they are, instead of how you want them to be, how they present themselves to be, or how you've been programmed to see things, right? Now, to bring it back to you with that specific theme of focusing on the energy and essence rather than the words and action, it's also very important, right? Because sometimes we can make this path very difficult for ourselves, especially if we have perfectionism tendencies that we still haven't released and worked through, where we think there's a step-by-step process we have to follow, or there's a specific script that we need to follow, or I'm seeing it a lot in the parenting space, where scripts actually tend to do really well and sell really well because people have become so disconnected from their own, I don't know, their own inner guidance system and inner authority and attunement with their children, that they feel like they need those scripts, right? That's problematic because children are quite attuned, and they can tell when what you're saying is not matching what you're feeling. So it becomes pointless, actually. That's why it's a lot more powerful to do the inner work, to come to a place where your words and actions and thoughts are all matching. There's no discordance. And your kids can feel that. Your kids will love it, actually. They'll become very secure because they can feel your inner authority. But I'm seeing it everywhere as well. Like, on social media, when they're talking about this relational space, telling women how to present themselves and what to say when dating, to me, that's actually capping yourself so much and boxing yourself in, because we're all uniquely individual. And if you have to think about how to be, it really stifles your essence. So it's a lot more empowering to just do the inner work of unraveling those patterns that are making you accept certain behaviors or attract certain people, and just be yourself, be your empowered self. Again, it's not about what you say that matters, it's about who you are. It's about the essence behind those words. And so two people might be saying exactly the same thing, but the essence is different. And I want to give the example of the dark feminine as well, because I've done a video on that. In my opinion, the dark feminine, righteous anger, is the key to our liberation for those of us who are too much in our light aspects. There needs to be a balance, a rebalancing of the light and dark within us. And so some people have asked me before, but when I talk about the dark feminine and standing up for yourself, that comes from a place of deep self-love, and it's righteous anger, it's not reactive anger. People are asking me, but did you actually get angry? Because anger is just so vilified these days. Did you actually start screaming? But yeah, there is some of that, and it depends on the context, it depends on the situation, right? But there are times when, of course, you're going to be screaming, and you have to assert your authority. But there's a difference between screaming and raging, and it comes from a place of reactive anger. I've done that, in the past. I've done that. And you feel completely depleted and it goes nowhere. Versus screaming and actually being deeply anchored within. It's it actually comes from a deeply grounded, authoritative place. It's completely different. So I'm not a fan of telling people exactly what to do. I'm not a fan of telling people the words or giving specific advice, because it's extremely disempowering. And that's the problem that we have all over the place on social media, where it's almost like the blind leading the blind, but also like a self-fulfilling prophecy, or like a visceral cycle, a vicious cycle, where people have released their authority and sovereignty, and they need to come back to that, right? But instead of them coming to teachers who are going to tell them, like, you have to come back to your own inner guidance system and do that hard work of building that muscle, and that takes effort, and that takes repetition, and that takes determination and resilience. People don't want to hear that. So they resonate with the teachers who are going to give us the steps and give them the scripts and the exact step-by-step process that worked for them, I guess. And so and people are going to try to repeat that, and I feel like it's actually very disempowering. And this is a reason why, this is a big reason why we have this illusion of millions of people on this path doing the healing work, but we're not seeing the fruits of that, because we're still at a place where people haven't fully gone within their own authority. And that's where we need to go. That's the path. Nobody can do that for you, and it's actually giving people a huge disservice to tell them what to do. And I don't want to be in that position. I refuse to do that, actually. Because on this path, the more you evolve and the more you grow on this path, the more you feel a really strong sense of responsibility to bring people back to themselves and their own authority, their own guidance system. Because who am I to say what's best for you and what you need to do? I don't know. I'm not in your body. I haven't had the childhood you've had. I haven't had the past lives you've had. I don't know exactly what you've signed up for in this life for your soul evolution. I also don't know. I'm not in your body. I don't know what you're feeling, right? What's your outlook on life? So it's very hard to determine the level of consciousness you're currently at. Now, there are always signs. So people like me, I think, are very good at paying attention to what you're saying and, using that as indications of where you're at. But the power comes from you. True teachers, true coaches, true guides actually bring you back to your own inner guidance system, to your own inner guru. And so this is it in a nutshell. It's difficult to grasp at the beginning of the path, obviously, but the further you go on the path, the more you understand what I'm talking about. Focusing on the energy and essence behind the words, whether it's when you're observing others in your life or yourself and what you need to do, right? The action you need to take. Focus on the energy behind what you want to do. Try to ask yourself on a regular basis, what am I trying to achieve here? Why am I doing this? What's my intention behind that? And be honest with yourself. Because sometimes even just that process actually unravels a lot for you, unravels a lot of the purification process that needs to happen. And so the more you do that, the more you become clearer and clearer within yourself, and the more you're able to tap into that field of energy. It feels like a different reality. It feels like tapping into a different reality where things actually work differently. And this is when you're going to understand that it actually is all about frequency, and that people who come into your life, that there's no coincidence about anything that happens in your life. It doesn't mean that, if you go through abuse, it's your fault or you deserve it. But there's something within you that's making that happen. This is the mechanism of life. And the more you evolve on this path, the more you tap into that unseen realm, the more you understand this. And the more you're able to tap into that higher reality, the more things flow into your life, the more peace there is. There's no hardship and hard work, and it just flows. So this path is very much about bringing yourself, attuning yourself to this higher reality, attuning your instrument, right, your body, yourself, your consciousness, to this higher reality. So that's all I had for today. I hope this is helpful. Again, this is a process. Everything I'm discussing, it's not a magic pill. It doesn't just happen like that. It takes time. It's a muscle that we're building, and you need to want this for yourself, and you need to spend the time to do this for yourself. And this is the key to your liberation. So I hope this is helpful, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.